So tonight we're going to talk about 3 steps you need to take to build your shelter in the midst of your storm. We didn't say a storm. We didn't say the storm. We said your storm because your storm is different than mine. I might look over at I use a storm and be like, that ain't nothing but a little bit of rain on the roof. You telling me that's a storm? And that would be very judgmental, wouldn't it?
It absolutely would.
He can look over at me and my storm and be like, really though? It ain't even raining over there. You think that's rain? Wow. But we want to lift up, as we always do. Everybody has their own pathway and everybody has their own personal work. And so you need to get clear about what your storm is. If you hadn't, started to catch on to where I'm going, you need to get clear about what constitutes your storm. What is your storm? What are the places that you're vulnerable in your relationship and in your own personal path? Because you won't be able to even build a shelter unless you know that. I just want to know. Let me just ask this question, then Aisha is going to take us into the first step that you need to take to build your shelter in the midst of your storm. But I want to ask this question. Just drop it as a word or maybe a few words. What is your storm? What is the thing that is kind of a cloudy over you right now? Maybe it's not even hanging out in you over top of you right now, but you know that it comes and goes. What's your storm? Yeah. What represents your storm? Is it a word? Is it a situation? What is it? What is it? I need a few people to drop that in the chat. And we know it's a little dilemma going here.
Yeah, participate. It ain't gonna be no different, but participate.
Yes, it
is. In the process of your elevation and your healing. Again, so what is your storm?
Natasha said not connecting.
Yeah.
Not connecting.
Staying organized.
Oh, Lashana, Lord. I got that storm too. Staying organized. Lord have mercy. My storm, that just stay around. It should be storming all the time. And that with that organization. Yeah. And I'll be like, let me put up a different umbrella today. Okay, staying organized, not connecting. You need to know what your storm is. You need to know what that looks like because you won't be able to properly prepare. Some of y'all are being real polite, or some of y'all don't want to speak it because you're like, well, it's not storming right now. So I don't want to type it in the chat because I don't want my boo to see like storm is. It's our finances. It's this. It's my this or my that. Or I don't want to speak it because I feel some type of way about even giving life to it. You need to be able to know what it is and don't be scared to speak it because you lessen the intensity when you just get familiar with it. So I love how y'all just came on in the chat. Tamika said health issues. Being able to communicate effectively with my fiance. Discipline. Love that. Derek and Dee said discipline. Low compassion to you. My sister, depression. Janelle says intimacy and confidence. LaShawn, communication. All right. So y'all are naming it.
So we definitely, understand and feel where many of you all are coming from in terms of like what your storm is right now. The reason why this is so important is because the first step, y'all, to really building your shelter in the midst of your storm is acknowledgement. It's acknowledgement. And so we had you all name what your storm is, because number one, the first step, y'all, is acknowledgement. And I can't overemphasize that point because far too often we find ourselves in spaces in our own personal life, but also in our relationship where we refuse to acknowledge the bullshit that we find ourselves stepping in.
I'll be right back.
We refuse to turn in the direction and see that something messy is on the horizon. We refuse to take ownership of the fact that like what we're experiencing and what we're feeling is real. We refuse. Sometimes, I used to always say to my kids, like, I know when it's about the storm because we start to see the underside of the leaf. We start to see, some of y'all may pay attention to this, but again, the underside of the leaf, it indicates that it might be rain, it might be a storm that's about to come. And this was when I was on the East Coast, because on the West Coast out here, I ain't really seen too much of this. But again, you start to see and experience it just a little bit different. And so if the weather is different, if the temperature is different, if there's a drop in the atmospheric pressure, you start to notice certain signs. So the first thing is to acknowledge that something is different. It's to acknowledge that, something is on the horizon or something is staring me right smack dab in my face. Something is up in this house. Something is chasing me.
Since you ain't done it.
Something is chasing me. Something is looming. Something is daunting. Something is ever present. And it's a significant thing that has to be dealt with and addressed. And so unless I acknowledge it, I can choose to bury my head, but the reality is that it's coming. This storm is here. And so whether or not I want to acknowledge it or see it or not, it's here and it's hovering. And it ain't going nowhere until we deal with it. So some of y'all are in this space where, again, you're burying your head in the sand, but that don't mean that the storm disappear. It's just waiting for you to lift your head up. The first thing, y'all, the first step is acknowledgement. How many of y'all are having a hard time with at least looking in the direction of your storm? Acknowledging that something is on the horizon. 529 said like a strong wind. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, it's already there. There's a lot of people you're in storms. You're in storms of disconnect. You're in storms of, there's infidelity happening on a regular basis in your relationship or in your marriage. There's a lot of dishonesty. Betrayal is not just about infidelity. Okay, so that's the sparky word that everybody gets caught up on. But betrayal happens in all kinds of ways. And so there are lots of things that are happening that you normalize and that you oftentimes don't really pay attention to. You've begun to numb it, or it's not as alarming because you've learned how to kind of rationalize some of the stuff away, and so you're literally in the midst of a storm. And this I don't know why this pops up for me in my mind. My mother is also a therapist, and when she was doing her dissertation and getting her doctorate, she did a study on Black women and spirituality and mental health and all that kind of stuff, and how they take care of themselves and whatever, all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that she learned and found out, and this is pretty well known though, is that, come on, Cassandra, just keep it 100. She said, I'm in a blizzard, okay? I respect that. I respect the clarity you have with that. But what she found out is that when you look at Black women, especially as compared to non-women of color and other ethnicities, even of other women of color. When you look at Black women oftentimes don't know they're in the midst of a storm. They don't know they're having a mental health issue, that they're having a crisis, that they are in the midst of overwhelm or breakdown. They don't have any idea of it. Oftentimes, Black women either feel as though, two things. This is what it is. I'm just keeping, going, putting one foot in front of the other, carrying some heavy ass shit and just continuing to push forward. Again, it's a part of the legacy of our ancestors. It's in our DNA, whether we realize it or not, whether you're aware of it, whether you're conscious of it. We just push forward because that's what we've had to do. So they just push forward and think this is kind of, this is just what it is. I just make it happen. People ask them, how have you been able to stand up and maintain? Well, I got to do what I got to do. I mean, you have to, like, there's no choice. So that's number one, is there's a normalizing of the pain, a normalizing of it by just continuing to push through and not recognizing it for what it is. And then also the other thing is that they oftentimes feel like they're failing. They feel like they're failing. I want y'all to hear that and get that in your spirit. That for anybody else, my God, they understand and can see, like, there's something off here. There's something awry. I've got to be able to figure out how to get in touch with some things and take care of myself. And for Black women, oftentimes the research shows that either we don't recognize it because it becomes normalized, or we think we're failing. Oh my gosh. My goodness. How can you build your shelter in the midst of your storm and you feel like you messing up? Or you feel like this is normal weather. It's always cloudy.
You gotta acknowledge.
It's always cloudy. My God. So I just wanted to share that because we got to be able to reframe that perspective, and we got to be able to say, like, I deserve and I desire and I want to see and experience and feel a different kind of lightness, joy, appetite for my life, for my love, for my children, for whatever is happening around me. I don't want to have this kind of reality. And even though it may be all that I really have ever known, or it's just very familiar to me, I want to know that there's more. And I want to create more. I want to go different places. I want to do different things. I want to experience different things. I know that's me. I know that's me. So sometimes I can't even submit to my own insanity. I got to be able to plug into something else. But it's very much a thing. And it's not just for women, and it's not just for Black women. I know men and Black men especially have their own particular heaviness, but I know that research has been done.
Yeah, so point number one, y'all, is you have to have the ability to acknowledge that you're in the midst of a storm. And if you're not in it, then one is on the horizon. The second point, y'all, is that if you're in the midst of the storm, this is the second step. After you acknowledge that, something is looming or something is actually hovering over you, the second step is to seek safety, y'all. Safety. You got to secure your safety. You got to. And so if we look at it within the context of a relationship, like let's say you are dealing with infidelity or any other type of betrayal. Let's say you're dealing with difficulties around communicating, around just conflict, constant beef and tension. Let's say you're dealing with issues around parenting or your in-laws or, auntie and them just always up in the mix. And you just feel like there's this storm that's just there forever present in your relationship and you just can't shake it. You just can't shake it. When you turn to the left, you got issues, you got drama. When you turn to the right, you got issues and you got drama. And so you just feel like I'm just bogged down and I'm dealing with the bullshit all the time. The second step, y'all, is to seek safety. You got to find safety in the midst of the storm. This is a self-protective, act to ensure your own fucking survival.
My goodness.
Seek safety. You got to seek safety to ensure your survival. And so it's critical in the process of seeking safety that sometimes it might not come in the form of your spouse. You got to go elsewhere maybe to seek safety. There may be a community of people like we got in Blam Core where you can just get that shit out. You can just express it. You can just connect. You can get the support and accountability wherever it is. It might be the church. It might be your sister group or whatever. I don't know. It might be, your football team, basketball.
Well, when you say your sister group, you're like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I
don't know what it is. All I'm saying is that it's important. And I'm lifting this up because of this, y'all. Like we work with couples one-on-one that struggle in this particular area, specifically dealing with betrayal. And a lot of times you'll find women who are in the midst of a betrayal storm and they're looking to us for support and assistance, and they appreciate the support and assistance that we give. They appreciate the support and assistance that they get from our Blam Core community, but a lot of times what I say too is that there's something that exists within your bloodline, within your family that none of us can get. And when I say seek safety, sometimes it's in you being courageous enough to open your mouth, to have a conversation, to attempt to connect with people that you think may possibly judge you. A lot of times we got these ideas in our minds that are like really false narratives where we think that we can't turn toward somebody who's close to us and open up and share, like, I'm really struggling right now. Some of y'all need somebody to like just hold you and take care of you or tend to your heart in a way that can't be done virtually. And so I'm lifting this up because I think that it's important that again, when you seek safety, a part of it is physical safety in some instances, but the other piece is emotional safety. And so you got to pay attention to like, yo, I'm broken right now and I'm in the midst of this storm. And what I need is some help.
Yeah.
I need some sense of safety right now to protect myself, to protect my sanity, my mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah. And I know y'all are resonating with that. Damaris says sometimes, going back to, that comment of how I was focusing on how we operate as women and Black women especially. She says sometimes men compare their wives to their mom who have been in that cycle, but we don't want to do it anymore. You ain't say it like that, Damaris, but that's me. We don't want to do it no more. I'm adding the extra to your comment. Or like Janelle said, or they come at you with you strong, you got it. Or when you express that, right, I don't want to do this anymore, then they call you selfish or weak, right? And so these are the things that we have to contend with. We have to contend with these things so that we can really pay attention to protecting ourselves, because ultimately, like my husband said, no one's going to give you what you're not willing to give yourself. It's just not going to happen. They can love you to death. But if you don't require it, if you don't seek it, then you can't look for somebody else to do for you. what you won't do for yourself. It's just not reasonable. It's not reasonable. I appreciate some of the comments here. And I love it. Some folks at Eugenia say, yes, I'm just like my mother, right? So we can see some of the spaces where there are strengths, but there are also some things we need to work on. So we talked about, if you're just joining us tonight, we talked about three things. Well, we're talking about three things that you need to do, 3 steps you need to take to build your shelter in the midst of your storm. It would seem pretty basic to acknowledge the storm. It would seem like, oh, really? Like that's
not
that's a step. But let me tell you something. That is a step. That is a clear first step, because so many people do not acknowledge what it is. To acknowledge it means to write it out, to be clear about it, to speak it out somewhere, to really say, this is hard for me. I'm struggling in this area. You know, to own that it's a problem or it's difficult, and to not judge yourself at the same time. It's not an easy feat. So acknowledgement is really important.
It really is. Denial is a defense mechanism.
Yes, it is.
It's a defense mechanism. So it's a clever way in which we attempt to protect ourselves mentally and emotionally from the reality of whatever it is that we're dealing with. Like, we attempt to shrink it, minimize it, deny its very existence, because to say that it does exist means that we got to do something with it. We got to do something about it. And so, again, acknowledgement is a key piece. Now, some of y'all, depending upon what your storm is, it's damn near impossible. I ain't gonna even say damn near impossible, because we got clever ways mentally and emotionally and spiritually to, like, you know, again, deny and engage or deploy these defense mechanisms, so we ain't got to deal with stuff. But again, if your storm is a storm, like somebody earlier said, I'm in the middle of a blizzard. For most people, that would be like kind of difficult to deny. But for other people, why you put your finger up?
Sorry, I mean, that was like, no.
I'm with the church finger.
Hold on.
I'm about to hit y'all with the church finger in a second, because I got to go pick up my children. You
just better wait a minute. We gonna wait till you just better wait. So they're not even ready yet. But okay, y'all, real quick. It can be hard for a lot of people, but it's also not hard for a lot of folks, because it's a trauma response to numb and to bury our heads into the sand. And the more intense the feelings get, or the more overwhelming stuff gets, then the more automatic our response is to hide from it, to numb ourselves so we don't feel it. And that is a trauma response. So I'm saying that to say, just to counter a little bit of what my husband is saying, is it is hard, because it's like, what in the world, do you see this? You know what I'm saying? Do you see what's happening in your life? Sometimes people come to us, we like, now we're used to it, but like, you got some real shit, a lot of shit around you, right? But then you tell me that your love and your connection and how you feeling about your relationship on a scale of 1 to 10, well, it used to be a 9, 9.5, and now it's a 7. Now it's an 8. How the hell is a damn 8 and you got all this shit around you? How is that, right? Because we numb, and because we bury our heads in the sand. And so I'm just saying that some of y'all do that, and I just want to bring that part forward, because you don't see yourself. I want you, again, if you're watching, to think about what's standing out to you, and really take a moment when we're done this evening to get still and to get centered. And if you're able to even share with your partner, whether it's a personal thing or whether it's something in the relationship, to be able to share. So far we talked about acknowledging, we talked about seeking safety, and the last thing is always to take action. Once you have acknowledged, once you have sought safety, because you can't do anything if you don't feel safe.
No.
You just can't. Safety is equivalent to connection. You got to connect into yourself. You got to connect into your partner. You got to connect into God. You can't go forward if you don't do that. So you can try to skip these joints and not acknowledge. What'd you say?
I said there's strength in safety.
There's strength in that. That's why it's stabilizing.
Yeah.
It's stabilizing. And so you got to be able to do that. And so, take action. And one of the things that makes it easier to take action is just to simplify. Simplify what it is that you need to do in your day to day. What is it that I need to do, that I must do in the coming week? What is it that I can take off of me What is it that me and my partner must deal with? And what is it that we can push to the side so that we can take some time to start connecting in or having some conversations? We don't want you to let your basic needs fall to the wayside, right? We want you to focus on what really matters. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. To reach out for help to your partner or to people that you really know care about you. And you cannot forget fundamentally the importance of you. The importance of you, because if you forget that and you continue to, oftentimes what people do, we're on autopilot looking at everybody else and what needs to happen, but the kids need this and my husband needs this and I got to do this over here for them and at work. And it's, we can stay in that numbing kind of, cycle of being on autopilot. But who want to get up off that? Come on, Blair, with the procrastinating. Yeah, we don't. We don't. Who wants to actually allow themselves? Like who would welcome? Some of y'all gonna be like, I don't know, Iana, but I want to know who would. If you knew that you could set yourself up in such a way that you could go on ahead and have a little breakdown, and you could let it all out, and you could cry, and you could, I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's about your damn job, if it's about the kids, if it's about your husband, if it's about the bills, if it's about just not feeling fulfilled. I don't know what it is. You ain't had no sex. I don't know what it is. But if you could just, just set yourself up in such a way that you could let it all out, name all of it, put it on the table. You could be upset. You could cuss. You could cry, whatever, and let that thing out. And you could take a space, a day or two or three, and you could just get it all out and then be able to say, now I can move forward and I'm going to move very differently so that I can start to have what I want. And you know for sure that you would have the solution, that you would have peace at the end of that. Who would say, sign me up for the breakdown? Sign me up. Sign me up for the breakdown that's going to lead to my breakthrough. Sign me up for the going into, straight conniptions and I'm just tired of it. I can't. You have to be willing to go there. We got to be willing to fall to pieces just a little bit. In your bathroom, in your bedroom, on a weekend, go get yourself a hotel room. Can't afford that, go in the basement, wherever you got to do. Come on now. Joseph says, sign me up. Joyce says, sign me up. Sign me up for the breakdown. That's what we need. Sign me up for the breakdown so that I can break through to the next level that I need to get to. And I'm telling you, so many of us are trying to avoid it, trying to hold things together. We want things to look a certain way. We're trying to keep all of the things in place, right? That when we do that, we are absolutely undermining our ability to move forward. And what I'm telling you is you can endure and you can move through and you can overcome and you can actually grow through the breakdown when you build a shelter. When you build a shelter for the storm, and this is the storm, this is what I'm in, and I'm going to be able to craft my way through this storm. I'm going to be able to navigate this because I see it, I'm acknowledging it. I'm going to get some safety and create some safe space for myself. I'm going to get into counseling. I'm going to get into a support group. I'm going to figure out what are my triggers, and I'm going to start proactively putting some things in place around my triggers so that I don't just go to the funkiness. I'm going to start having more compassion for myself. I'm going to start practicing more self-care, and then I'm going to take action, and I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm going to probably break down in the midst of it because it's going to be real intense, but I will have a breakthrough. And so if you really want to be able to not just be in the storm, but to transcend the storm and be able to talk about, I wouldn't trade that storm for nothing. I wouldn't trade it for nothing because I needed it to grow. Then you've got to be willing to acknowledge it, seek safety, and take action. And so if you have done all three of those things, then you are right here with us and you know exactly what we're talking about. But there's anything that has not happened for you, if you have not acknowledged it, if it's not clear, if you haven't written it out, made it plain, if you have not sought safety, if you have no support system, there's nobody who knows your storm, no one who knows your story, they don't know what you're talking about, you haven't done that. You need to do that. And if you haven't taken action or you don't even know what the hell kind of action to take, I'm telling you, you won't be able to take action until you first acknowledge and seek safety. That is how you build shelter in the midst of a storm, a relationship storm, an individual storm, any kind of storm. That's how you build safety. That's how you build a shelter. And that's what we're inviting you to do tonight. Come on now.
And let the church say
The Maya.
amen.
Say amen. Maya said 22 years of standing up to the storm to be knocked down by a branch that wasn't willing to grow. My. Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Tamika said we needed that storm. Now it's time for us to do the real work. Yeah.
Yeah, I got called out, and I think that it's apropos for me to stand up.
What are you doing? Look at that shirt. Relationship work is personal work.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah. Shout out to Janelle for
Shout out not to just Janelle Kelly, to our merchandise
coordinator.
Yes,
Janelle Kelly. She put it together, and it's several other shirts that we got in store too.
Yeah. I've been like, I can't wait for the rollout. I'm waiting. I'm so excited about the rollout.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready. Because y'all got some good stuff. And it is just, I seen a little something. I was like, dang, Janelle, she be having it going on. So everybody, we thank you so much for coming on out to Relationship Thursday tonight. I just want to remind our Blam Core members that tomorrow night is your heated Are You the Thermostat or the Thermometer for men only. That is happening. Anybody who's on right now and who's a Blam Core member and you didn't know that Overcoming Infidelity is actually going on right now. It might still be going on, but it was when we came on here, being taught by Hassan and Naila Clay, that Clay couple. That's happening tonight and every Thursday by Sweetie. And then
show the shirt one more time.
show it off. And then on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to put this stuff in the group. Saturday and Sunday is the next Men's Lounge and Sister Circle, and it's a very special Men's Lounge and Sister Circle because it is our Bridging the Gap edition. It's going to be led by D'Angela Johnson. And so we are really excited about that.
Both?
What you need?
I said, she's not, what about the men's line?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think about the men's. Sorry. And Joseph. D'Angela and Joseph, the star couple. My bad. I was like thinking about the women's side, you know. They are going to be leading that process, and so there's a survey that they've got out, and I will also send that out. So just make sure you make room this weekend for that, because that's going to be the beginning of a great series, Bridging the Gap. That's all I wanted to say. I don't even know. Okay, I think that's it, y'all. Joseph, don't say dang. Don't say dang. I was like, wait, you said, you know, you represent like, is it just D'Angela? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So again, everybody, whatever stood out to you, make sure that you hold on to it, that you acknowledge what's going on, that you seek safety, and that you take action. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. You just show up and do your part. Relationship work is personal work, all of that good stuff. Hey, YouTube, I just noticed y'all over here. That's all. That's it. That's all. All right. I'll see y'all soon. Bye. Another Relationship Thursday in the books. Bye, YouTube. Bye, y'all. I don't even know how to get up out of here. Okay. Bye.